Hey, very good morning, America. Good
Good
evening, India. This is
morning.
Sean Shankaran from Bharat Ki Awas and Indian Overseas Congress. Today, here I'm going to talk about privacy to piracy, topics of interest. So, there are things like, for example, we have got in India the year 2000 Indian IT Act, Information Technology Act, is getting amended. So there are a lot of amendments coming on, and also there is a new criminal code act. So we have both this coming. So I just have a new speaker in our tribe, Saira Nayak. She's a privacy lawyer out of West Coast in United States, and we have our usual friends Priyambata and Virender Vashist from London and Delhi. So I'll just quickly go with Saira Nayak first to do a quick introduction, and then we'll go around the table and then come back for you to Saira expand on your thoughts on these two things, and also even your general thinking on what is happening on privacy. It's like, okay, you have been a privacy lawyer for long, so just want to hear your aspects, Saira. Yeah, maybe
All
you can
right.
set the stage. Usually Sam sets the stage. So today's topic, I think you are the best person because you know the privacy better.
Absolutely.
Virender
Well,
and Priyamata, I'll come to you guys after
Yep.
Rasaira.
All right. Well, nice to meet you, everyone, and thank you, Sean and Mr. Petroda, for having me today. I'm actually a retired privacy lawyer. I worked at various companies in Washington State, including Amazon and Microsoft. I was an antitrust lawyer, and then I segued into privacy about 15 years ago. So when the practice was really starting, I worked primarily with engineers, a lot of amazing ones from India, people from all over the world, and really focused on the use of data, including personal data, to develop profiles for advertising. So I helped, for instance, Amazon build its advertising business to be compliant. Uh, I retired about 2 years ago, and through a classmate, I actually went to boarding school in South India. I learned about the India Data Protection Law, and it concerned me on many levels. I am experienced in both the EU GDPR as well as US state privacy laws, as well as federal privacy laws. The US, as you know, does not have a general privacy law. It has laws that regulate data by sector. In contrast, the EU has a comprehensive law, and India, in an attempt really to normalize trade, needed to have an adequate privacy law to that European and other international standards. And it has introduced a law which, on its face, seems to give every individual privacy rights, but has raised a lot of concerns. So I'll stop there, Sean, because I know that your focus today
Okay,
is the IT law. And I think,
good,
Mr. Petroda, good to see you.
good. Now
Good
Chicago is
morning.
an important city. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So, in any event, yeah, I'll hand it back over to you because I know the privacy law is not the IT law, but I think the playbook and the issues that we're seeing with the privacy law also you will see them with the IT law that's being proposed. It all revolves around data and specifically the Aadhaar system, which I think is the most valuable database in the world. So I'll stop there unless you want me to continue.
Thanks a lot. That's a great introduction, Saira. So we will come back to you again, and I'll let Virender Vashist give his two-liner. Sam is on the phone. I think I'll let his complete his call. Virender Vashist, why don't you tell if there is any perspective from Indian National Congress you want to share on the new Criminal Code Act as well as the IT Act amendments? You are a lawyer yourself, so you have spent many 20 years plus years in the party. So maybe Virender, I think Sam is back. Sam, I think you are on mute, Sam.
Yeah, hold on.
Yes, Sam. I got you unmuted. You are good.
Okay, my
Virender,
apology for being late.
oh,
I
no
had a
problem.
very
No problem.
interesting, I had a very interesting interview with India today,
Oh, cool.
which was supposed to be 30 minutes, turned out to be 1 hour.
Okay, good.
So, you know,
Are you giving some fodder for Modi ji?
no, I'm just sharing my views. I'm sure they'll misrepresent and there'll be some confusion and there'll be chaos and all that is part of the package. But it was good to talk about foreign policy. It was good to talk about how Indians abroad have really uh, been shining and their contribution and all that. So it was good. So once again, my apology for being late. And I'm
Sam,
glad today we are talking about privacy and piracy.
Sam, I want to quickly welcome you back as chairman for Indian Overseas Congress. You got reinstated. So there were a lot of mobbing, gaslighting by the right wing. In fact, even the way I will put it, Indian National Congress fell for it, or the Indian Godi media makers fell for it. And finally, now all this dust is settled and you are back. And we are very glad you are here, hale and healthy, to mentor us, guide us, and towards the vision of rebuilding India. Thank you, Sam. I'll let you give a quick
Thank you.
introduction in case about privacy to piracy, Sam, if you want.
Thank you. First of all, once again, Sean, thank you for doing this program on a regular basis. And also Priyambada and others. You all put in a lot of time and effort, and people don't realize what it takes to put together a plan like this. Okay. So thank you. I would like to begin by thanking Congress President Khargeji and Rahul for giving me this opportunity again. And I look forward to building a stronger Indian Overseas Congress organization, institution, leadership in about 50 countries to really help promote the idea of democracy, equality, inclusion, diversity, and all of the things that we stand for. As you know, this year there are elections in many countries, and it's important to take the voices of the people of India to other parts of the world. Indian people have spoken loud and clear that they want democracy, they don't want anybody to tamper with Indian constitution, and they believe in diversity, bottom-up development. And I think this message is important to many other parts of the world. You saw what happened recently in South Africa. We are having elections here in America in November, in July in UK, then in France. So everywhere we are going through this uncertainty about the role of democracy. And I hope that what happened in India sets the direction for the democracy world over. We have a lot of work ahead of us at Indian Overseas Congress. I want to thank all the presidents and people and members like you all for the work you have put in, for your visits to India, for your support in election. And the work is not done yet. Very soon there will be 3 state elections in Maharashtra, Jharkhand, and Haryana. So this machine has to continue, but we need more young people, new ideas. And I want to urge many of you to come join us. Write to me. Give your support. And we have a lot of work if you really want to work. So with this, I want to end that little IOC introduction. Today, there is also a cricket match, I'm told. So a lot of people are anxious to go back to cricket. And I recommend that we have a shorter conversation today because a lot of people would be cursing us for taking their cricket time away. It is the final cricket match, so we will end little earlier today if you don't mind. And I feel that of the two topics we have, namely the uh, privacy and piracy, Saira spoke about privacy. Saira and I have been talking. We, in fact, decided to write a joint article. She did most of the work. We need to revise that and we want to publish that. She has great experience in this area as a lawyer, as an activist, and I want to welcome her in our group. And I want to make sure that she remains engaged with us on this issue of privacy. Maybe we'll take piracy next time. And today we focus more on privacy because she's here. But that doesn't mean I don't want her next time. I want her to be with us next time as well. So, Saira, welcome. Really appreciate your time. And this is a very interesting group that Shan and Priyamvada and few more young people started. It has grown to few hundred people every week. And at the end of the day, few thousand people watch this program. And we have people from all over, like Kishle is our leader in Korea.
Our friend Modi is watching regularly.
Yeah.
Oh, how
So it's
flattering.
okay. And sometimes we overdo it. Sometimes we are very vocal, but that's okay. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
We are not really constrained and very careful and this and that because it's okay. Open, lot of young people, and I want more young people to come join us because their
so
contribution is equally more important. And we also have a lot to learn from them, you know. So I'm delighted that this forum is open. Let me say a few words on the privacy. I believe privacy is basically dead. Okay. No matter where you go, you are being followed by cameras, followed by GPS, followed by credit card movement, travel, airline reservations, and you name it. I'll give you one simple example. I have a friend um, in New York who was very close to Michael Milliken and was really working as a leader in those junk bond days. He and I once went to a very fancy French restaurant. And when the bill came, he opened his wallet and he gave $600 cash. I said, Chris, what are you doing? He said, Sam, I carry a bundle of $100 notes. I don't use credit card. I said, what happened? He said, New York City monitored all my credit card bills and came to conclusion that I live in New York. My residence is New York and not Connecticut because I eat here every night. And they put in a tax bill for me for a few million bucks. So he said, I never realized that they will monitor my bill. So credit card is a big tracker. What you buy, where you buy from, how you buy. So privacy has become a very complex issue. Of course, we all want privacy. Government laws have to be geared towards protecting me and not using my information against me in some strange way. So privacy is the issue in America, privacy is the issue in India, but the new laws being created that I'm sure Saira talked about, you know, are of great concern to us. On one hand, I know that my life is not private. I know my phone is monitored all the time. I know my, computer always says, you know, security is being breached, and I take that for granted. Okay. I know that everything I do is open. Okay. So I try to be little careful, but then, there isn't much to be careful. Okay. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. Yeah. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not killing anybody. You know, so it's okay. You may not agree with my belief and ideas, but it is very difficult to hide in information age. You have to really try very hard to hide. And even if you try very hard, somebody can find you if they want to find you. So privacy is of great concern. I want my space. I want my family to be protected. I want freedom to speak, express my views. And this has become a global challenge. You see how in China, cameras are monitoring everywhere where you go, how many people went to airport, who took flight, who didn't take flight. Everything is being monitored. Yeah. And you have to be careful as how you scratch nowadays, because it could just go viral. And everybody has access to the information. So as a result, they can make it public. And you don't even know who made it public. Now with AI and all, it gets even further complicated. Because now you can change things. And you can say things from my mouth, which I have never said. And then onus is on me now to prove that I didn't say it. Okay. So it's going to get further complicated with AI, the privacy issue. So we need to evolve some kind of a framework to assure certain dignity and respect to my private space, and at the same time recognize that technology cannot be turned back. And that is the challenge for all of us going forward. We can have series of sessions on privacy, and then we can have series of sessions on piracy. These are two very important topics in the age of information. So with this, I want to open up for a broader conversation. Again, Saira, thanks for joining us. And you might wind up answering a lot of questions today. So get ready for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I realize we only have 11 minutes before this
Yeah,
cricket
that's
match
true. So let's
starts.
do 11 minutes.
I was oblivious. I do not follow cricket. And
Me too,
well,
but I
first,
want to today. Today I want to because then I can tell
okay,
everybody.
I can do it in 5 minutes. But first, I did want to thank you, Mr. Petroda. As you know, we've been talking for a year, and I did really want to encourage everyone to reach out to Mr. Petroda because I did. I did not know him. I just reached out on LinkedIn, and he responded. And all I said was I was very concerned about the privacy law. So thank you for the dialogue and the discussion. And it's a
We
dream
need
to
more people like you, Saira. My
it's
problem
a
is we don't have right people
well,
at the right place.
I think they are all there. I think people
But I
are
want them
very
to
concerned.
self-start. They are all looking for so much guidance and all that. Humanly,
They
it's not
just need a
possible for them.
framework. I think they just need a framework.
So
And so hopefully we can give that to them. I
let's do
will,
that.
however, respectfully disagree with you. Privacy is not dead. It's really about education, awareness, and taking your data back. Michael Milliken was taking his data back for tax reasons. I personally don't do store cards, but in the world of today, it's inevitable. You need a credit rating, you'll need a credit card. I think where India's law gets a little more sinister to me is that to date, most data protection laws are premised on commercial activity. They are based on, trade. And so when you, and Sean, I don't know if we have that one slide that we can pop up.
Yeah, I'll just pop up.
If
Give me a
not, I
minute.
can. And Mr. Pitroda is absolutely right. We are working on an op-ed, which I'm happy to share with you, but I'm going to summarize it just in the
Are
next
you able to
four to
see the
5
screen?
minutes.
Are you able to see the
I can
screen?
see it. I
Yeah,
can see
go
Yeah.
ahead.
it.
Please go for it.
Okay. So India already has a privacy law. It's in force. Many of you already probably know about it. What I think every Indian citizen really needs to know, and I will agree, I mean, here in America, we are in awe of the Indian voter. Even though some of them are extremely poor, extremely challenged, they are doing amazing things for democracy just by paying attention. And also, they are arguably the most educated electorate in the world because they have phones. Everything is run off of your phone. And I think, therefore, an educational message which emphasizes to every Indian voter, every Indian citizen, you have a right to privacy. What does that mean? You can already see that on your phone. You have a right in all of this information that you store there, whether it's your address or your social media engagement or your private emails. You have a right to your face. You have a right to all the information that is used to authenticate and identify you. These are really sort of integral concepts. People are interfacing with them every day, and yet they're not understanding the principle. And I think this is very key. So if you can see here, the data protection law in India arguably needs to be reformed. Why? Because it has a huge exception for government public use, which no other law arguably in the world has. And I think that India is going to have difficulty saying that this law is adequate to other laws for trade purposes because it has this huge exception that you can literally drive a truck through. It's the exception that swallows the rule, because basically the government is saying anytime we deem that there's a public use, and this could be a threat to public safety, it could be something that they see in terms of internal unrest, it could even be to help a foreign government, which I found really interesting. In those cases, under this law's public use exception, the government can sort of revoke all of your privacy rights, take them away, your right to free speech, your right to information. They can hold you in jail. The crazy thing is that we are already seeing this scenario play out, whether it's a Russian oligarch that mysteriously dies while on vacation in India, or it is, the great author Arundhati Roy being prosecuted unfairly. I mean, data is being used to, I think, prosecute people unfairly for tax reasons. There's a whole parade of horribles that can happen when you have unauthorized access to data, not just by the government, but by private actors as well. But here's the thing, India has a constitution. That constitution has rights. In addition to the right to privacy, you have a right to know. And that right to information process, I think, is key here. So the first thing I would say is we really need to sort of motivate the Indian citizen to know about their privacy rights. And this can be education in form of webisodes. Maybe we can get some celebrities to join in, because let me tell you, if your data is out there for anyone to take, I think Bollywood and a lot of the arts industries in India should be concerned, right? This is, as Mr. Pitroda pointed out, we're in the age of AI, so everything is amplified. But just dialing it back to citizens, I think citizens should be using the RTI process to really investigate and see, how is my other data being used? Oh, I'm suddenly the focus of this tax investigation. What have you done with my data? Who have you shared it with? Citizens have that right, and I think a national movement, Take Back Our Data, would do two things. It would educate people and it would motivate them. And that kind of accountability is what I think the government needs, irrespective of party. This is not a partisan message. This is a message for every Indian voter, regardless of whom they voted for. I think there's also a really strong message for civil society and regulators, because on its face, that public use exception in the data protection law violates India's law under a specific case by the Supreme court called Puttaswamy. So I'm not going to go into Puttaswamy. We will discuss it further. But for those of you who know about it, there are certain things that any exception, any sort of move to revoke a constitutional right in India has to be fair, just, reasonable, and not arbitrary. So given the very long list of exceptions that the public use exception has, I think it would be easy to challenge the Puttaswamy case. And that's something we should think about as well. I think civil society also has a role here. And we should be raising this alarm, not just in India, but internationally, because again, the purpose of the law is to really bring India into trade sort of compliance with, especially Europe, which requires you to have a privacy law that has certain things, privacy rights, in order for you to trade with the EU. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to run to the last column, which is business. And this is really important because if we leave this DPDP unamended, it not only undermines citizen rights, but it really can facilitate the unauthorized use of valuable Aadhaar data. And that is, Mr. Pitroda was mentioning AI. I mean, I think this is the other side of the AI coin, which is really educating every Indian to understand that their data is valuable individually, but definitely in aggregate. The Aadhaar database, I think it's the holy grail for many AI companies. And I think this is why you haven't seen American big tech sort of coming out aggressively against the DPDP. They understand that it will help them. They are salivating at the idea of working with this database. So here again, we can keep them honest. And having worked for them, let me tell you, that's a sneaky, that's sometimes a very, I shouldn't say sneaky, but you have to be sneaky with them. But it's good to hold their feet to the fire. And we should make sure that any technical solutions that are built on the Aadhaar platform, for example, DigiLocker, has to respect these DPDP, the essence of the DPDP, which is to secure data to secure privacy rights. So I'll stop there.
Thank you.
I think that's phenomenal. Give me 1 minute. I'll just.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah.
With 2 minutes to go.
Let's check. Are there any questions from the audience? So there is Subramania Kusnur from LinkedIn saying mobile smartphones are the gateway to building secure privacy protocols. And
I agree.
I think there is a lot of congratulatory message for you, Sam. Okay.
Thank you.
For you to come back. I'll just maybe show it for.
Thank you.
Yeah. But on Mr. Subramanian's point, he's absolutely right, and that's why I invested in Apple stock. Apple has created the model, right? And we're going to see that in the next few years, which is that you can have everything processed on the phone and you can have security on the phone. Let's see. But, I think with that, it really sort of amps up the Aadhaar security argument.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. So, Galopolo, Ankit Gobani, Subramani Kusnur, Sachin K. Sharma, and
thank you all. Really appreciate your love, affection, and support.
Ash Pachuri, Ankit Gabani, and a lot of them, Sam. Many more. I think people are very glad.
Well, I'm very thrilled.
The fact that they are here and not watching cricket says a lot.
We have 283 people, Sam. I think.
Oh my God. We are privileged. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy to return or follow up with me. I'm on LinkedIn, so please connect with me. And Mr. Pitroda, I'll be sending you a draft shortly.
Thank you.
So and we'll talk more, as Sam said, we will maybe can do this as a serious, Saira, because
I would love to. We need to. We need to because. Yep. We need to have different committees focused on these different audiences because amongst us, we have a lot of strengths, a lot of contacts. So to even get that buzz going at an academic or business level. Yes. So please get in touch with me and give me guidance on what you'd like me to do. I'm here.
I just have one final calling. Indian intellectual audience, not only Indian intellectuals, even Indian common public is very smart. See, when Rahul came down here, The entire thing which went viral is a question I asked on Pegasus. We thought, okay, it's a very intellectual topic we are discussing, but the way Rahul took it kind of made common people understand that same
Yeah.
thing. People are listening to the opposition or even common citizens' privacy stuff is breached in a very very simple way. He said hello Modi, and it became viral, and it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of will be seen by millions of people. The 30 seconds what he conveyed very effectively, and it's still I think we are conveying a very tough concept called privacy and kind of Pegasus to common public,
Mm-hmm.
which is effectively done. So I think that's a lot of work to be done, and I'll go to Priyamada and Kisle to offer some summing up thoughts. As Sam said, today we will end early. Sorry for the inconvenience, Kisle and Priyamada, but I just want to hear your 1 minute summary in case you guys have any opinions thinking on privacy, particular Priyamada.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Welcome back, sir. Very happy that you are there now. So my question was just like, as Shan said, with Pegasus. So the government itself is, encroaching on privacy. So how we are going to put a check on, especially this government, which is like all over the place, and they won't allow anyone. Even now there is an act also where they're going to restrict you from doing social media, like they're going to restrict
Mm-hmm.
social media. So how are we going to, because especially this government, it's different than the rest. So I'm your thoughts on how we are going to counter the fact that government itself is, encroaching privacy by having Pegasus on opposition leaders phones. So
Mm-hmm.
is yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know enough amount about the RTI petition process, but to me that I have spoken to, a couple people about it. To me, that's key because right to information, if we can get, I don't know, 5 million people to file RTI
Mhm.
petitions, and we get the news that, oh, the government isn't responding, this is the constitutional right, what are they doing with our data? We need you to be more accountable. I think that definitely creates, if you're just focusing on citizens, you can do other educational pieces, riffing off of Pegasus. For instance, you can follow someone's shopping journey. Why am I seeing this ad for shoes all the time? you know but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we are the oldest civilization in the world, most
Yeah.
intelligent. Our people know, they don't need to read a book. They have this in their hand. Now
Yeah.
we need to give them the guts. Maybe it's just even a schematic. This is how the data flows from the cloud into your phone. This is how unauthorized access might happen. That's just one graphic with a few cute cartoons. It will resonate with people, I think. And then on the academic side, yeah, I mean, I think absolutely there's a strong civil society in India, and they can sort of tie it under the umbrella of all these constitutional rights, like the RTI movement, that have happened and said, all right, now we're talking privacy. And I think all of this is also meant to give Indians a sense of pride and ownership.
Mhm.
I mean, the Aadhaar database is an amazing thing. We don't have it in the US. We don't file our taxes into the tax cloud. Like the idea of that to a lot of people here is, I don't know, draconian, dystopian, 1984. So the idea is to really say, hey, but that's your data. That's not the government that controls it. You need to take it back. I think given this electorate, how activated they are, how focused on justice they are, they will see that connection.
Thank you,
So
guys.
that's my hope.
I'll
Yeah,
go to
thank
quickly
you.
Kisle. Kisle, you want to offer any thoughts? You are on mute, Kisle.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for this insightful discussion. And I, my greetings to all of the people present over here. So I have got, when we talk about privacy, a few things comes to my mind. For example, personal privacy, like for example, the IoT devices that we are using. For example, our smart watches that we are using. It has got all the data about our health, right?
Hmm.
So these kinds of data, they can be sold, and we can, I mean, they can be sold to anybody, including corporations, including people who are doing frauds. So this kind of privacy concern is also over there. So
Yeah.
when we talk about privacy, a few things that which come to my mind is, number one, the private data. Second, the role of the governments in protecting us from some sort of leakages or protecting us from data fraud, etc., the data being sold without our authorization. So GDPR comes as one of the very I think it's a very crucial beginning.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the thought process of the Europeans, that they have brought in something like GDPR, which, I mean, India should think of something like that in this direction. The other thing which comes to my mind is the thought process of the governments like China, who say that when you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be worried. But you know humans, we are all humans, right? We do not want to we should not want anybody to know that who I am traveling with, who I talk to, what is my health, how is my heart performing, how is my kidney performing. I don't want anybody to know that. Applications like Facebook, Google, YouTube, you search several things on YouTube, and the Google has your cloning, entire digital cloning of your
Mhm.
likes and dislikes. They know you better than you, that how many times you are using YouTube, how many times you are using which platform, what kinds of videos you are watching. You are more concerned about health, politics, what kind of books you are reading. All of these digital cloning is available to all this
Mhm.
global corporations. So corporations are going to be the biggest the players in the data field. And how do we control their access? So as Saira said, that we need to have our data with ourselves. For example, this phone, Apple mobile phone, this is going to provide us maybe in our own cloud, right? So something of
Mhm.
this sort, can we think something of this sort, that we have our own cloud, where the data is not going to Google. We are using Google, but Google doesn't know that what we are
Mhm.
what we are searching about. So these things are required. And the other thing which I would like to say, that the governments in most of the countries, they are more interested in taking control of many things from people in their own hands, which is so anti-democratic, I believe, than giving control in the hands of the people. So, for example,
Mhm.
you talked about Pegasus, you talked about other things, you talked about the government can, freeze your freedom of expression and all these things. So, this is all a kind of excuse from the government, that we do not have any other, any way to empower you. So, we are, putting a lot of control on you, and trying to make things other way around, which I think is not very good. So this is my piece. And regarding the personal cloud and all, I'm not a technical person, I'm a business guy. So I think Sam sir would be the best person to let us know that is something of this sort possible, that we have control of our own data in our own mobile phones, as Saira also spoke that Apple is doing. I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to, if I can just jump in on a couple of your points. Sorry, we're going past. So the role of government in securing our data. Well, so far the government, we're not sure if they are the wolf or the hen keeper, right? Like,
Correct.
so traditionally, government works with business and business representatives to figure out what are the appropriate standards. But that can also be a process to basically make sure those standards aren't enacted. That's what happened here in the US. That's why we do not have a national cybersecurity law, because some of the biggest tech companies lobbied against it. They didn't want to be held to one standard. So there, I think the government does have a role to say, yep, you at least need to have this standard. We'll work with, but I don't think it's on them only, and it shouldn't be on them only. And then the other thing I would say is, India, the government would say we already have a GDPR law. If you read that India data protection law, it looks good. It has this concept of data principles and, rights and things like that. But the question, it all comes down to the details. How is it being implemented? And I think this is where, especially since the government is going to be partnering with business, it becomes important. And your last point on, can it all happen on the device? I think that's what DigiLocker is going towards. And my understanding is that DigiLocker is a joint venture with Google, with a division of Google Cloud, who is headed up by an American of Indian descent, Mr. Kurian. So, I mean, these are the opportunities we have to go in and say, hey, in America, you're getting sued left and right. Come to India and let's actually do it right when it comes to privacy. And, here are our rules. And I think that's the role of the government vis-a-vis business. We'll see how it comes out.
Thank you, Saira. I'm not so sure about the DigiLocker's partnership with Google. So, but there may be things in the cooking or not. So I
Yeah,
think Modi government is always trying to do a lot of very aggressive partnerships, which
you can
where
share
the
on
sanity
WhatsApp.
of privacy of citizens are not very well taken care. So I think I want to give the credit to previous Congress government. Aadhaar was one of the great thinking, and I think only thing is now the same thinking whatever. Congress had. I think I don't know whether it is used for right reasons. They are enforcing Aadhaar on many things, but they are whether they are using it for the right purposes. We don't know whether the safety is ensured. We don't know a lot of those things. And we'll talk more actually in the subsequent weeks, as Sam suggested. We'll do more topics because this should be the kind of topics we should be talking and feeding back to our Indian political system, which is maybe can be Indian National Congress and India Alliance and many others. Let us talk more and see how we can come up with some suggestions, action items for our political ecosystem, Saira.
That's
Sam, you
great.
have any concluding, summarizing thoughts?
No, I think it's time to let people watch great
Yeah.
cricket game.
Cricket has won over privacy.
India has already won. Good.
No, cricket has won over
Okay, I thought
privacy.
India has already won because that's what everybody's thinking. Okay.
Okay.
But thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Thanks, Premada.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sean.
And
Thank you.
Ira.
Thank
Nice
you.
Let's
meeting
connect
you
Thank
more
See
all.
you
you.
next week.
Thank you,
Have a
sir,
nice
and
tomorrow.
day.
welcome back.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks, Tyra. Thanks.
Love you
Bye.
all.
Thanks to all the
Bye,
340
Priya.
people
Bye.
watching live. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. See you
Thank
guys
you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.